Today on Investigate TV Plus, stomach-churning claims.
You don't poop where you drink. And that's what the city did. They polluted their own city.
Sewage filled with cancer-causing chemicals possibly seeping into a Georgia city's drinking water for years. And we uncover how a newspaper columnist and neighbor may have foreshadowed the environmental scandal.
Plus, protecting students and staff.
But it is very difficult to be effective when you're having to move around to different schools.
Why hiring school resource officers has proven difficult, and how some districts are overcoming a shortage.
Then, pet portraits help their owners heal.
I have this hanging up in my house, and I walk past every day, and it doesn't make me cry, it makes me smile.
Meet the artist inspired to create touching tributes for people who have lost a furry family member.
In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus. Safe and readily available drinking water is crucial to public health, but toxins linked to cancer could be contaminating supplies across the country. I'm Tisha Pell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. We're talking about PFAS, man-made toxins called forever chemicals, because they do not break down naturally. A 2023 federal study detected PFAS in nearly half of the nation's drinking water.
It's a health crisis dozens of North Georgia residents are suing over, claiming the city of Calhoun contaminated its own drinking water by dumping sewage with high concentrations of PFAS in fields near homes.
Investigative reporter Andy Perotti takes an in-depth look at what some are calling a potential environmental disaster.
Ever since I was a little kid, I have been writing.
Colleen Brooks combs through old newspapers.
It's one of my favorite players.
Where she contributed as a columnist in Calhoun, Georgia for more than 30 years.
I probably wrote 10,000 maybe.
Covering everything from romance,
Yes.
movies, and the weather.
On April 22nd, 1988, A Snow Lover's Lament.
Today, she's lamenting about another story making headlines, not as its author, but as an alleged victim of a potential environmental disaster. She and dozens of her neighbors filed a lawsuit claiming the city of Calhoun contaminated their drinking water with a cancer-causing toxin. According to the suit, the city spread 28,000 tons of sewage or sludge in fields near their homes with high concentrations of a chemical called PFAS, known as forever chemicals, seeping into their land and wells for more than 20 years. According to this city permit, one of the sludge fields used Colleen's home address.
I thought, wait a minute. You know, they can't do that. They didn't ask us. Nobody came up and knocked on my door and said, can we have permission to use your address for this sludge field that we're dumping out here? Oh, no. No, 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 no.
How did the toxin get into the sewage? The lawsuit claims the city allowed industrial wastewater from carpet manufacturers that use PFAS to flow into Calhoun's sewage treatment plant. The chemicals are then mixed with the sludge and later dumped on land along the Coosawattee River, where the city draws its drinking water.
They put sludge upriver, right next to a river, from where they pull the drinking water.
Heath Brooks is the lawyer who filed the lawsuit on behalf of the residents.
We've known this for as long as human beings have been here. You don't poop where you drink. And that's what the city did. They put it right next to their intakes. And so they polluted their own city.
The issue is personal for Heath. Colleen isn't just a client, she's his mother.
Did you ever think in your wildest dreams you'd be representing your own parents in a lawsuit?
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. No, I didn't. I didn't in my wildest nightmare think that I'd be representing my parents and my aunts and my uncle and the people that I grew up with along this road. They can't jump into a swimming pool because their swimming pools are filled with the water from a polluted well. They can't go out and use their wells to water their garden because their gardens are polluted.
The Environmental Protection Agency set PFAS limits in drinking water to 4 parts per trillion. Water samples taken by the attorney from 5 Calhoun homes show levels ranging from 70 parts per trillion to more than 8,000. Dr. David Andrews is with the Environmental Working Group and has years of experience in PFAS research. When you hear those numbers, what goes through your mind?
Those are shockingly high and incredibly concerning and indicate the extreme levels of contamination.
While the impact to residents' health is unclear, a nearby city could offer a glimpse of what's to come. Emory University scientists said they will test hundreds of residents for PFAS in Rome, Georgia. Its study in direct response to our investigations in 2023 that tested residents' blood, uncovering elevated levels of the toxin in nearly every participant. The city is about 20 miles south of Calhoun. Both cities rely on the same river system for its drinking water.
We didn't know that this issue existed before your study.
Emory University lead scientist Dr. Dana Barr.
In thinking back, it should have been very intuitive that there was going to be an issue because of all the carpet industry and the use of PFAS as stain repellents and water repellents and things like that. We just didn't really know about the issue before then.
Attorneys for Calhoun declined to comment on the lawsuit, but in court documents claim the city is a victim too, filing suit against carpet manufacturers that allegedly contaminated the river used for drinking water located upstream in Dalton, Georgia, a city that proudly proclaims itself the carpet capital of the world.
Well, it seems as if one of our government agencies has gone and done it again.
Someone had a gut feeling there was a potential problem years before anyone else.
Yeah, I remember that now.
It was Colleen. She wrote about it in this 2004 column titled Spreading It Around, after witnessing city trucks spray something on fields across from her home for years.
I've been told that this stuff has been treated, so it's okay. Treated with what? Chemicals? I wrote about it, and I questioned it.
20 years ago, you wrote about this.
Yeah, and I didn't know what it was.
Colleen says she spoke to someone at City Hall, but can't remember who.
They told me that it was perfectly safe and that it was good for the land. And I thought, dumping that smelly, not right stuff could not possibly be right for this land. What I really feel is betrayed.
In 2023, the city of Rome settled a multi-million-dollar lawsuit with many of the same carpet manufacturers and chemical producers. Its lawsuit also accused Dalton Utilities of discharging water laced with PFAS into river systems, providing drinking water for Rome and Calhoun. In Atlanta, I'm Andy Perotti.
PFAS-contaminated water threatens taps across the country, and our investigations have also taken us to Wilmington, North Carolina. In 2017, the city dealt with a similar problem. For decades, PFAS were dumped into a water source. To help understand the impact, hundreds of residents took part in a study to test their blood for the toxins. Doctors say those results help them to better monitor their health and catch potential illnesses early.
Without that information, without the blood testing and urine testing to see what individuals' levels are, you're just sort of driving blind.
To learn more about how PFAS could impact your health or your drinking water, head to InvestigateTV.com and search Forever Chemicals.
Still to come, a routine checkup reveals a deformity that left doctors rushing to act.
I mean, that made me sick to my stomach. When I saw those x-rays, I started crying.
We take an in-depth look at how a curve in your child's spine could lead to serious health problems.
But first, we uncover how a shortage of police officers impacts school safety and why some districts are opting for off-duty officers for help monitoring campuses. Our in-depth coverage continues. You can get connected to Investigate TV Plus on all social media platforms. At schools across the country, safety is top of mind.
To help protect students and staff, districts nationwide have turned to school resource officers, also known as SROs. They are sworn law enforcement officers who have the ability to make arrests and are usually armed.
While it's recommended every school have at least one carefully selected SRO, our investigation uncovered a shortage in police officers has made filling the role in schools challenging.
Reporter Amy Cutler explains how an Arizona school district turned to off-duty police officers to help monitor campus safety.
What is happening at the high school?
Somebody's shooting at her school.
Chaos at Central High School in Phoenix. More than 1,000 students and staff running for their lives following reports of an active shooter on campus.
Everybody was just running. Everybody was running, and then somebody pulled out a gun.
My daughter just followed me from under her desk.
It happened in September 2022 and led one of the country's largest high school districts, Phoenix Union, to put school resource officers, or SROs, back on campus. It took several months for Phoenix PD to come up with officers to give them.
We've heard from, various departments that they just don't have the staffing to provide these SROs.
Yeah. That's a real problem. It's easy for me to sit here and to advocate for an SRO in every school in this country, which I believe we should have.
Mo Kennedy is the executive director of the National Association of SROs. He explains SROs do more than security. They serve as informal counselors and build relationships with kids. But this shortage has impacts. It's meant some SROs in our state have to cover more than one school.
Do you believe that they can be effective in that situation?
Well, it's better than no SRO at all, but it is very difficult to be effective when you're having to move around to different schools.
Craig Avery, an SRO at South Valley Junior High in Gilbert, knows that all too well. When he started in that position 8 years ago, he was assigned to 3 junior highs and 30 elementary and charter schools.
It's just good to be able to be with a specific set of admin, a specific set of board directors and faculty to kind of focus my efforts and not be spread so thin.
What do you see the value of an SRO in a school?
Way beyond just the safety of the school, being able to educate these kids.
To combat the shortage, state lawmakers approved the use of off-duty police officers. These SSOs could be at a school 1 or 2 days a week and don't have as much training as SROs. The state tells us it started the 2024 school year with 301 SROs total, up from 214 from the year before. They've also got nearly 700 SSOs.
With the implementation of the school safety officer program, it's given other officers the opportunity to see what it's like to be on school campuses.
Steve Dew, the president of the Arizona SRO Association, says that opportunity will hopefully lead more of them to consider working in a school full-time.
A key difference between SROs and SSOs, the training. While requirements vary by state, SROs go through the same academy training as patrol officers, but they also go through additional training programs, often 40 hours or longer, to equip them with the skills to work in a school environment. The National Association of School Resource Officers also reports a majority of SROs are employed by police departments and sheriff's offices. SSOs can be considered a trained law enforcement officer, but when in a school setting, they act more like a security guard. They often work for the school division to enforce school policy.
Still ahead, parents can help detect a serious condition affecting thousands of teens. We'll break down the signs of scoliosis and how checking for it can be as easy as putting on sunscreen.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime online. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel at Investigate TV. You can catch stories and full episodes. Doctors stress school-age children should be getting a yearly physical exam, but do you know if your physician is checking for scoliosis?
Not all states mandate schools screen for the deformity, and that could lead to it going undetected in some students.
Reporter Jen Pachano introduces us to a Cleveland, Ohio family inspiring others to get screened and explains how parents can look for signs of scoliosis in their child.
To look at this Akron teenager, at least at first glance, you'd never notice something was amiss.
There was no indication. Her hips were not lopsided, her shoulders weren't crooked or lopsided.
But a regular well check when Cameron McGaw was just 14 led to a scoliosis diagnosis, a curvature or twisting of the spine.
I didn't feel any pain at all. Like, even how big the curve was, there was no pain at all, tumbling, walking, or anything.
I mean, that made me sick to my stomach. When I saw those x-rays, I started crying.
Cameron's mom, Julie, says doctors at Akron Children's indicated this was serious and needed to be addressed immediately. When physical therapy failed and a brace, which is usually pretty effective in many patients, was not an option, Cameron was faced with spinal surgery to correct the curve, which had worsened from 42 to 53 degrees in just 6 months.
So scared, like I couldn't think the rest of the day.
Now, putting it off would only make surgery more risky and the recovery harder, so Cameron underwent corrective surgery for her scoliosis. Dr. Lorena Flocari says scoliosis starts to emerge when kids are 10 to 14 years old.
It typically happens right around the big teenage growth spurt, and so that's generally when we're looking for it and recommending that we screen for it.
She explains how parents can look for signs.
When you're looking at the shoulder blades, if they don't look equal side to side, if the hip line or the waist looks different side to side, where one side is higher than the other, that could be another sign too.
Dr. Fulcari says left uncorrected, scoliosis can lead to serious problems later in life.
If the curve gets really big, that twisting can impede the lungs from functioning properly. It can lead to pain. So curves that are over 50 degrees and aren't treated, the studies show that long-term pain is a big concern later in life.
To say Cameron's surgery and recovery was a success story is an understatement. To everyone's surprise, she's tumbling again, even with 2 rods and 15 pins in her back.
Well, I stayed in the hospital for 3 or 4 days. By the time summer ended, I was doing activities like swimming, roller skating.
Her mom says parents or even peers should make a check of your teen or preteen spine a regular part of your routine.
It is easy enough for a parent just to check. Anyone could check. Friends, these girls, they're in so many tumbling classes together, sports, you don't have to have any back pain or any visual issues to have a curve in your spine, and that's what's scary.
Another tip for parents, doctors say you can look for the signs of scoliosis while applying sunscreen or lotion to your child's back. And it's just amazing to see how she's tumbling again and just back to normal after all that.
I tell you, I have 2 teenagers. I'm gonna go make sure they look okay and do some testing. The sunscreen test, as you just said, maybe do something like that. Can't hurt.
Up next, using a hobby to help others heal.
It touches people's hearts. I joke around that I'm good at making people cry. In a good way.
An artist takes us through her process of creating pet portraits for grieving owners. Losing a pet can feel like losing a family member.
But an artist outside of Green Bay, Wisconsin is using her time off to comfort grieving owners.
Reporter Jeff Alexander shows us how her artwork is a lasting tribute to beloved pets.
Even though it's been months or even a year or so, Amy Bergner still remembers all their names.
Jasper, Wallace, Missy, Max, Bullet.
As a little girl, Amy knew she had a gift.
I always doodled in school, and I knew I wanted to do something with it, but I just didn't know what.
The revelation finally came 3 years ago when Amy's son was thinking about getting a tattoo and asked her to draw something.
I wanted a picture of something that showed strength and endurance. So I thought about it, and I drew a lion with a Bible verse. And once I did that, I wanted to do more. So I found a course online that helped you find your niche. So I went through all that, and it came down to pet portraits.
After launching a Facebook page, Art by Amy Jo, requests started coming in.
They'll send a picture of their pet to my phone, and I print it off, and then I actually have a projector that I use, and I make a rough outline of it, and then I just fill in all the details.
To bring someone's beloved pet to life, like this horse, Amy uses chalk pastel pencils.
It's chalk, so it blends really nice and easy.
And charcoal sticks. A slice tool adds texture.
It'll bring out every little hair.
Since she started in 2021, Amy has drawn 70 pets.
I've done 50 dogs. I've done, I think, 8 horses, about the same number of cats, and then I did 1 cockatiel, and I did 1 potbelly pig.
Last year, when her prized paint Sweet Pete died,
my initial reaction was, nailed it. Wow. Wow, you nailed it.
Mary Lisa Carenza reached out to Amy.
So I have this hanging up in my house, and I walk past every day, and it doesn't make me cry, it makes me smile.
Oh my God!
Often, though, there are tears of joy.
It touches people's hearts. I joke around that I'm good at making people cry. In a good way.
Amy says each portrait takes around 13 hours to complete. Amy takes pride in taking a deep dive into the pet she's focused on.
I like being more personable with people. I like it when they come to me one-on-one. And a lot of people, they'll tell me like the personality of their pet, and you know how they were with other people, and just things they like to snack on, and you know, so it's almost like I kind of get to know them when I'm trying them.
A passion discovered, and it's now healing hearts.
It's a gift that I'm humbled by.
And that's it for us on Investigate TV Plus. I'm Lee Zuring.
And I'm Tisha Powell. Thanks for watching. On the next Investigate TV Plus, the surge in remote work leaves downtown high-rises empty.
We weren't having a lot of luck in finding tenants.
Could transforming former office space from business to residential help solve 2 problems?
At the end of the day, we have too much office, and we have also too little housing.
We take an in-depth look at how cities are revitalizing urban areas.